Hello everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Amanda Ostrander. I am a teacher turned homeschool mom, and this is Raising A to Z, a place where we talk about all things homeschooling. And today I'm going to talk about what are the homeschooling must-haves. What are the things you absolutely need to start homeschooling? Before we get started, I want to take a minute to shout out one of our members. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining our YouTube membership program. And this is your shout out. Thank you for watching and for being a great fan. Let us get started. For a lot of parents, now is the time where they're going to start homeschooling for the first time. And despite feeling super overwhelming, it feels like there's a lot of things that people recommend that you get. There's a lot of things that you feel like you just need to set up a whole classroom for your kids. If you look on Instagram or Pinterest, you're going to see entire gorgeous classroom setups and you're thinking oh my gosh, do I need to do that? Do I need to have the large table and the boxes and this and that? Do I need to have all of that? The answer is no. There's very little you actually absolutely need when it comes to start homeschooling. Really, there's just a few things. Everything else after that, bonus. Everything else after that is going to be determined by what your kids are interested in, what your family aesthetic is, what works in your home, your budget, your lifestyle. That is all going to be determined later on. And like I said, it's all bonus. It's all extra. It is not necessary or mandatory. They're nice little extras. The things that you absolutely need to start homeschooling are very small. The list is short. I promise you. So today I'm going to go through a couple things that I feel are really things that you really would benefit from and things that you kind of do need to get started. Okay? So let's do that. First thing you need is a curriculum and a place to store it. Really that simple. If it is your first year homeschooling, I highly recommend you don't go overboard on the curriculum. Especially if you haven't yet figured out what your routine is, what your kids' interests are, how they're going to respond to different types of learning. It's not prudent to start with too much. First off, I recommend 2, maybe 3 subjects, tops. I personally only teach 3 subjects at a time. Per month, it changes per month, but out of every single month, I'm teaching 3 subjects. So if you're doing if you're planning on doing 8 subjects and it is your first time homeschooling, I can guarantee you are going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be so stressed. Your kids are going to hate it. Start with 1 or 2 subjects, 1 or 2 curriculums. So you're not wasting your time, your energy, your frustration, or your money. That being said, a lot of parents like to start with a language or a math, or a math and a science, or a math and a social studies, something that is, math is easy because there's so many math programs out there. There's math programs at a variety of budgets. And for the most part, math is very concrete. So especially if you're starting kind of in the elementary school ages, math is super, super concrete. So it's counting specific things. So a lot of kids really like math, especially at a young age. Math is usually a good safe bet. And then add on a science or social studies or a language. Pick 2, maybe 3. Don't overwhelm yourselves. So you have a curriculum, unless you're unschooling. Some people don't like curriculum at all. That's your choice. But if you are homeschooling and you're using curriculum, obviously you need curriculum. You have your curriculum, then you need a place to put it. You're going to want to put it close to or in the area that you are going to be doing your school or workbook time. So typically ours is in our activity room. It's kind of the kids' main floor playroom / homeschool room. We call it the activity room. And so typically that's where we do most of our workbook time. So there is a spot on our shelf on our Calyx unit that is in there. And that's where they keep their books. This past spring, actually, for some reason, I don't even know why, we kind of moved over into our dining room area. I think it started as just something different because the kids were the room was messy. Actually, now that I think about it, I think the activity room was a disaster and we couldn't actually work in there for a couple days because the kids had there's stuff everywhere. So we moved to the dining room for a couple days and then we just stayed there for 3 months. That's where we did workbooks. And I just had them put it on a shelf in our tea cabinet or a cabinet that was in the dining room there. Really, the whole point of having a place to put it is just so that you know where it is and that it's nearby where you're going to do your workbook time. My one recommendation is that you have a different area for each kid. So my kids have separate shelves, whether it was on the tea cabinet or they had a separate spot in the Calyx unit. They have a separate place. I do find it makes it a lot easier to find things. It makes it a lot easier for them to put things away. And then it's also much easier to figure out who lost what, because it does happen. So you need curriculum, you need a place to put it. The next thing that you absolutely need is a place to put your supplies. And I think everyone knows that you need some basic supplies. You're gonna need some notebooks and some pens and all of that. I have a list. I did a video last week, put the link over here, of back to school shopping. It has a PDF shopping list of what I recommend for homeschooling families. I've got it, okay? Obviously everyone knows you're gonna need some pencils and markers and paper and all of that, right? But you need a place to put it. There's a couple different ways to do this. Main thing is you wanna have your supplies in the same area that you're doing your schoolwork. You don't wanna have to like run around your house to collect a pencil and an eraser and a piece of paper every time you sit down to do lessons. So some people like to have like a little caddy. Those are great. You pick them up, you carry them. We have in our activity room where the table is, we have, I don't even know what it's called, but it's kind of like, it's a bar. It's supposed to be for utensils. We got it from IKEA. It's like a bar that's mounted to the wall and then it has like little buckets or cups that hang off of it. We have that hanging there where we put our pencils, markers, scissors, stuff like that. So you can have a caddy, you can have the little bucket thing, you can have a pencil case. Like really, it is up to you. You can, whatever works for your family. You just want to have a place where you can kind of keep your things, especially the stuff you're using on a daily basis, central and together. That is super important. And sometimes that might mean you have a few different spots. So for example, we definitely have, like I said, we have that thing in the activity room with the cups, but I also have a little like jar in my morning basket, and that is keeping different supplies. It has a little jar that keeps, like, I always keep a pencil because just convenient. But I have like my dry erase markers, my colored dry erase markers, the dry erase eraser itself. I keep that in my morning basket for when I'm doing my calendar time with the kids. So you might need to have things in different areas depending on where you're doing the different schooling activities on a regular basis, but you definitely want a place to put your supplies. Third thing you absolutely need to have if you're homeschooling is a library card. I cannot stress this enough. You need to get a library card and you need to become best friends with your librarians. It is going to make your life as a homeschooler so much better. Library, first off, you get books. I don't think people understand how many books homeschoolers go through in a month. We typically check out 15 to 20 books from the library that we will read in a month. And then I also pull anything that's related from this library that is in my own on a regular basis and do a novel study. Okay. We're going through a lot of books. If I were to purchase all that books, it would be so expensive. So we get a library. Library is not expensive as long as you return them on time. Put a note in your phone, do that, because libraries are great. They're going to get you so many books. Nice thing is if your library also has a digital online platform, which most do nowadays, I can just like order my books online and they ship it right to my local branch. So I just go in and say, hey, here, I click all the different books that I want. Here's what I want. Put it on hold. And then I get a call like 2 or 3 days later that it's at my local branch. And then I just drive down the street and pick it up. I actually don't even have to go physically into the library and start choosing books. I just walk in, scan my library card, walk out with a pile of books. It's great. But there's a lot of things that libraries offer that people don't know about. And if you don't have a library card and you're not friends with the librarians, you're not going to know. Our library, for example, you can check out puzzles. You can check out bags that are like grade appropriate activities. You can check out sporting equipment. So in the winter, our local library, you can get snowshoes. You can check out a pair of snowshoes for a week. They have classes, they have activities, they have some places have different like cool things that you can use, like a 3D printer. Our library hosts seed exchanges for, like, if you're into gardening. There's classes, there's programs that are running through your library. There's so much that you could get from your library. Oh, our library offers provincial park passes. So you could go and check out a park pass and go to the provincial park for free. And I think you have it for a week. Like, there are so many benefits of using your local library. And if you become friends with your librarians, A, they will know you. They will, get to have a little friend in the community. But B, they will tell you about all the programs that are coming and that are happening and that are awesome and exciting. So get a library card. It's going to make your life so much better. Okay, this is a must-have if you have kids in elementary school. If they're a little bit older, not so much. If you have someone who is kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, maybe even like grade 3 age, you're going to want a laminator. Hear me out. It is the greatest thing ever. You can laminate so many things and it just makes things last longer. I know a lot of programs come with like flashcards and manipulatives or like little notes or things that you're going to have that your kids are going to be using. Laminate them. They will last longer. You can use them for more kids. If you have one program, you can use it for multiple children. It's fantastic. And laminators are not overly expensive. I'll put a link below to a really good one. It's like $25. And like, I only use my laminator once a year, maybe twice. Typically kind of at this time, fall and back to school time, I'll go through and laminate everything I need. So it'll be like a major laminating session, but that's me because I kind of prep a whole year all at once. I'll do pretty much everything now, and then I might do something else a little bit later. But it does save me so much time in like durability. Things are not getting wrecked. They're not getting bent. They're not getting damaged. We can use the cards again and again and again. You can laminate things and then they become dry erase. You can like draw on them, dry erase on them. Like, laminators are fantastic. So as your kids get older, the need for a laminator might decrease. But if you have younger kids, I highly recommend one. Yeah. The next couple things might surprise you. Because I think you're thinking if you're homeschooling, you're getting away, you don't need this stuff. Hear me out. You're going to need lunch stuff. I'm not talking fancy. I'm not talking about all the stuff, but you're going to want some lunch stuff. Why? Homeschoolers get out of the house a lot more than you think. We go to co-ops, we go to science centers, we go to field trips, we go to play dates at the park. We're going out a lot. I think on average, we're averaging 3 to 4 times a week we're leaving the house. So unless you plan on buying lunch every single time you leave the house or go on a field trip, you're going to need to pack lunch. It's really the only way to save some money there. And sometimes you're going to be going to places where you need to pack lunch because there is no restaurant option available to you. Right? So if you're going to the pumpkin patch, they might be selling pies, but that doesn't mean that you have a whole lunch. For example, we like to go, our co-op often goes to the conservation area. It is a package-free lunch that they recommend. And so like you need to pack a lunch. You're in the middle of the woods. There's nowhere to get food. So trust me, having some lunch gear makes a huge, huge difference. You don't need as much. Trust me, because your kids are not going to lose it as often because A, you're with them. B, you can put it in a bag. You're kind of in control of it. But you're also not using it quite as frequently. Like we're using our lunch boxes once or twice a week rather than kids who are using them 5 days a week for the whole year. And there's some times where we won't use a lunchbox for 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what's going on, right? So like, but having some it just makes your life so much easier. We love bento boxes. We have some from Lunchbots. Sometimes you can find them on Amazon at a good price. I have in the past. Sometimes you can't. Their website is always consistent. Lunchbots, all one word. I like them because they are stainless steel and they are dishwasher friendly. That is like the most important thing to me is like a dishwasher friendly one. I also want to make sure that you get one that is big enough. If you're going to spend the money on them, get one that's big enough to like handle an adult sized meal. You know, ours are stainless steel. I bought them 3 years ago. They still look brand new. People are amazed that they're 3 years old. But yeah, having like a a lunch container, a lunch bag, something, some containers that you can pack lunches in. Like that is what you're going to need. Trust me, you're going to need some lunch stuff and like water bottles. I think a lot of people have water bottles today, but like you're going to need water bottles. But the thing that a lot of people forget, you as a parent are also going to need a lunchbox because you are also traveling with your kids when you're going on these field trips and onto the science center and all these other places. If you're ordering them or buying them a lunchbox, buy yourself one while you're at it. You need to take care of yourself. If your blood sugar gets low and you get hangry, no one's going to have fun. So just feed your children, make sure you feed yourself, and buy yourself a lunchbox and a water bottle as well. Okay. Next thing, this might be dependent on where you live, but the next thing I always recommend are indoor shoes. One pair of indoor shoes or something that is easily cleaned to become a pair of indoor shoes. Why? Depending on where you're going, if you're in a co-op, if you're in different classes, you might go to a place where you are going to require indoor shoes, whether it's a gym, rock climbing, different places, you might need some indoor shoes. First off. So there's just that. The second thing is for us who live in Canada and in the north, we actually use our indoor shoes a lot during the winter. So I bring them in like a bag and the kids go in their winter boots because it is minus 20, 30, 40. We go somewhere in our winter boots. When we get there and we hang up our coats, we take our boots off and put running shoes on. It just makes running around a science center, an aquarium, whatever you're going to, so much more comfortable and easier to have running shoes. So especially if you live in an area that's like really wet or really snowy, indoor running shoes are going to become a must-have. Okay. And like I said, I just throw them in like a grocery bag, like a reusable grocery bag, little bag. And then I like just tuck it into my boot when we're at the science center or whatever. And then we just pull it out, put our indoor shoes back in, and out the door we go. Indoor shoes, game changer. The other thing that I highly recommend to everyone is that you, as a homeschooler, invest in some really good outdoor clothing. Homeschoolers spend more time outside in general. A, because our kids have more time to actually do so. And B, for a lot of homeschoolers, being outdoors is a high priority to them. So that combined with just the ability to get outside, ability to do all those kinds of activities. And I find a lot of co-ops are always looking for free activities. So things like hiking, sliding, meeting up at parks, those kinds of things tend to be A, free, and B, outdoors, right? So have some good outdoor gear that matches where you live. For us, that means my kids have good pair of rubber boots and either splash pants and a raincoat or a splash suit, depending on how old they are. Some are easier to find than others. But it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. Good rain gear. We make sure that we have really good sun hats. That's something that we use a lot in the summer. The other thing that we use a lot, again, Canadian, winter gear. So like we're buying really high quality winter boots. We're buying really high quality winter mitts, like hats, snowsuits, all of that, but like we're really investing in the mittens and the boots. I know boots and stuff can be an investment. Trust me, I had to pay $132 last year for Alexi to get a pair of winter boots. It still hurts a little bit because that's almost as much as my winter boots were. But there are some things you can do. Number one, if you have kids who are the same sex and don't care about colors, for example, both my girls love pink. I just always buy pink boots and they just pass them down. I did have a friend though who, because she had different sex kids in her family, they only bought black boots, black winter boots. So yes, they spent $132, but winter boots tend to have some longevity to them. So her oldest would wear them for a year or two, then they get passed down to the youngest. So at least she was getting 2, sometimes 3 kids. And then sometimes she was done. When they were done, they were still in good shape and she was able to give them to another family. So yes, I understand boots are expensive. I understand. Trust me. I get it. But it will make your life so much easier. And again, like I said, homeschoolers often, in general, value outdoor time. It is a sanity saver as a parent when you can send your kids outside while you're making dinner. And we just spend more time outside. Like, I don't know if people realize how many schools don't do outside recess during the winter because it's too cold and not enough kids come dressed for the cold. So I think there's our local school district, it's like -10, -12 is the cutoff, and they don't let the kids go outside anymore. That's basically December through February. But there's still lots you can do outside during those seasons. And so invest in some really good winter clothing. Now, bonuses. That's it. That's all you need. That's all I think you absolutely need. There are kind of two really nice bonuses. And if you're like, what would you get as a nice bonus? Let me tell you. First bonus, a membership. Pick a membership to something in your area that is local that would make an easy field trip. So for us locally, we do our science center. They have a homeschool program, which means that we can go, I think it's twice a month. There's one day that's specific for homeschoolers, and then we get a second visit. It is $100 for the 2 kids, and I'm included for free. Okay, so we're looking at, it's from September to May, end of May or June. Like, we're going like 20 times. It is worth it. A, for any programming they're offering. B, memberships often give you discounts to do other things. And C, it's just an easy field trip. It is a sanity saver. Some days you just need to get out of the house and you just can't do it anymore. Just go somewhere else. And especially if it's something kind of local and not too far, it's just like a really nice activity. And the other thing that I say is sometimes it makes sense to look for a membership that is maybe not so local. Hear me out. We have family that lives down south in Toronto or past Toronto. So we go through or past Toronto a couple times a year on average. We have purchased memberships in Toronto despite the fact that we live 4 or 5 hours away. Why? Because visiting the aquarium in Toronto twice is more expensive than getting a family membership for 4 people by about $5. So if we go twice, we've already saved $5. If we go 3 times, we're already into like going for free. We did the same thing with the zoo. So one year we got an aquarium membership. Next year we got like a zoo membership. Sometimes, depending on where you are, it makes sense to get a membership. Whenever you're looking at a membership, definitely want to make sure you're checking the cost for your whole family to visit and the cost of the membership and how many times you'd have to go to make it worth your while. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not. For example, when we had a membership at the Toronto Zoo, I think we figured out at the time we needed to go 3 times in a calendar year to make it worth our while. We did 3 times, no problem. I think we did 7 times that year. It was great. But the parking, we would have to go 9 times to do the parking, to make a parking pass make sense. So like, just check how many times you have to go to make things make sense. But it is just like a nice, sometimes just having a membership, even just one, pick something, go 20 times in a year, next time pick something else, go 20 times a year, pick something else. Like it just gives you the opportunity, A, to explore your area, B, to really, really explore something new. And it just, like I said, it's an easy field trip. It's an easy learning experience. It's an easy hands-on experience. And it just makes homeschooling so much nicer. Another nice bonus is a tablet. I really love tablets. As a homeschooling tool, you don't need to have one. If you are not a screen time family, you don't need to have a tablet. We personally have iPads. We're an Apple family, just the way we are. But for me, it's the versatility of having that type of screen, right? So obviously my kids watch Netflix and Disney Plus and all that on their iPads. It makes it really easy when we're traveling long distances. Yes, there's those kinds of benefits. But for me, it is more the educational options that come with having a tablet. So for me, like Alexi is a perfect example. Zoe's still, she's only 6. She's just starting to kind of play around with things outside of Netflix. But Alexi, who is 8, and probably for the last year to 18 months, has really started exploring what her iPad is capable of. So she has started writing stories in her notes app and making like little mini chapter books essentially in her notes app. She has started using Duolingo as an app to take French lessons. She has started taking photos with her iPad and video, and then using different apps to edit them. She uses iMovie to make movies. She does some editing in different apps. I think my husband recently set her up with like Procreate, which is like an online digital drawing app. She has that. It's just, you're getting into like educational games, teach your monster how to read, different things like that. So, and the fact that it's all contained in one thing. We're also big fans of Osmo, which is like an add-on thing that turns your iPad into a hands-on learning activity. We just really love the tablet. It is a nice bonus. Like I said, bonus. You don't need to have one. I just think it gives you so many educational tools and options in such a small package that it's really nice. And a lot of the iPads and tablets out there, I know there's different Android and Fire tablets and stuff like that. They do give you some really good parental controls. I know ours, like we can set parental controls on, different apps individually, but we can also have parental controls on the iPad. So for example, ours are set up that the kids can't download anything onto their iPad without us getting a text message. So as soon as they try to download anything, we automatically get sent a message, and then we have to like verify and put in a code and a couple different steps before it'll even allow them to download that app. So there are ways to kind of safeguard your kids with the technology that you have, but it's also kind of nice to give them ways to explore technology in a safe and educational way. So we love our iPad. I really think it is kind of, like I said, a great tool. It's compact. It has multiple uses. You don't need one. We just really love ours. So yes. So that's it. That's all you really need to start homeschooling. I think you'll agree the list is much shorter than you thought it was, but that's it. That if you're starting right from scratch, totally brand new, that's all you need. And for most people, you probably have most of these things already in your home, or it's, a quick stop at a dollar store or a container store of some kind, or, these are things that you can kind of like accumulate over the years. You don't need to start with winter boots in September. You can add those in throughout the year. It's not that much. You don't need that much to get started. Homeschooling is a lot easier than we think it is because it's not all about school. It's also more importantly about being in our home with our kids and experiencing life with them. I hope you like this video. Consider subscribing. Also consider becoming a member. If you want to go down and join our YouTube membership, you can join one of the 3 levels. And then you get some really cool bonuses, everything from like badges and emojis all the way up to like video shout outs like we did earlier in this video. You can also get you get bonus content, you get early releases, you get to join live chats that are just for members. There's lots of awesome options there for you as well. So definitely want to take advantage of that. And finally, if you want to see how I use all of my basic supplies on a regular basis, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where you see how we just kind of live life in general. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.